watching HNL. I'm Ursula and today we're exploring confident entrepreneurship with Louis Janse van Rensburg. Louis, you said to me over email when I asked you to come speak to me is the paradox of entrepreneurship and confidence. Because it takes a lot of boldness to go for something. But then to sustain that, I think there's a lot of things happening. Please explore to me what you experience, what entrepreneurs are experiencing in this space right now.
Yeah, the paradox is that entrepreneurs need to have a lot of self-belief because the odds are stacked against you. And when you go out selling, you need to be confident in what you're selling. But you're also trying to sell a dream, a bigger vision that probably no one else really gets. And slowly but surely, especially as you're starting out, it's hard to, quite a humble experience to do that. But the paradox is that there's all these signals that actually eat up your self-worth as an entrepreneur because you get rejected a lot as well. And there's a lot of stresses and you feel tired and, cash flow is not looking good and all the stresses of that. And you can't help but personalize that because it's the thing that you are building. It's kind of a reflection of you as a person. People say it isn't, but it is. And so the paradox is you need to present yourself confidently, but also know internally it's tough. So and there's no perfect middle ground. I kind of call it like it's two fire hydrants bursting against each other. It's a very messy process, and sometimes the one eats up the other. But you have to get a balance. So you don't want to be too confident and have no substance, but also be too vulnerable and have no confidence. So you kind of need to self-regulate, and that's why we see with entrepreneurs in the research that we've done, we do a tremendous amount of research with the entrepreneur community. The amount of time and attention given to investing in their own mental well-being is at a maximum all-time high, and I think it's a healthy thing.
So I think there's a lot of nuggets that you have there. It's the believe it before you see it, but then also walking your talk. Like Fred doing the presentation, not walking the talk, but believing in something that he was selling. Now, in your own journey, when did Heavy Chef start as a side hustle? When did it pivot?
It was a kind of marketing and community building initiative of our agency for since the early 2000s till about 2014, I'd say. And then, after reading the environment, we decided to spin it off into a business of its own, which Fred took the lead on. He was the CEO of the agency, but he shifted roles to the CEO of Heavy Chef, and which was, I admire him for what he did there because the agency at that stage had about 120 people that we employed. It was a good-sized company. And shifting to Heavy Chef, there were 2 people, so it was proper startup vibes, it's kind of meta. It was kind of like we were teaching entrepreneurship while also being entrepreneurial and starting a business, so to speak.
But that's an awesome way to walk your talk.
That's exactly, again, taking the lesson from our origin story of being heavy chefs is like, you need to eat your own food, you need to walk the talk. So we try and ascribe to extreme transparency philosophy in the sense that we are quite open about the good stuff and the bad stuff of our journey. And it's weird, like when you start being vulnerable to people like that, it endears people and they kind of say like, okay, cool, how can we help? And then suddenly we just want to take the veil of the shininess of it all and take it away and reveal not the ugliness, but rather the authenticity of the journey, which is both good and bad, yin and yang, order and chaos, all those kind of things dispersed.
So what are some of the risks? Do you have a story of some of the risks you might have taken that went downward?
Oh, jeepers. There are many to share, but especially, it does depend on the stage of your organization. At startup stage, almost everything seems like a risk.
Yes.
And you really just want to hedge your bets. Yeah. And what has buffered us against having some real negative consequences, meaning that we had to close down the business or anything, we haven't been in that position, but has been just healthy partnerships with organizations that have supported us, but also share the same values. That's the one thing you can do to buffer the risk, is just surround yourself with people that share your values, and that includes your customers and your clients. even if the money isn't 100% there. You rather want a lower paying customer that is absolutely a fan of who you are and believe in what you do, than you want a higher paying customer that's actually kind of agnostic about it. And the paradox, once speaking of paradoxes, is that you really do want to get the big bucks.
Yes.
Right? You
'Cause
do want
I
that.
had a lot of resistance when you said that.
But if you have a long-term view, you start realizing that's actually what it's about. It's about that chemistry, and that long-term those relationships do pay off. And that helps kind of managing the risk, so to speak.
What are the biggest things you're learning right now? That's like the theme for you and your learning journey.
I think the thing that we are currently learning a lot is that how, to what degree you need to stick to your guns. It's kind of weird. Like every time there's all these new ideas that keep on coming up, and all these little what if we do this? What if we do that? But the things that have actually stayed and continues to stay is the stuff that's been part of our conversations since decades ago. And reminding yourself of what your principles are and what your values are. And it's like we are constantly reminded of that, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, where your attention is just pulled into all kind of directions. Actually, those things that matter most, the things, your values, the fundamentals of your business, they always come back as being the main thing. So the discipline is in how do you strip away and pull the net in, rather than just adding, so to speak.
So follow your true north. And I think that gives you gravitas in what you do. We'll be back after the break and explore more of this wisdom from Louis. See you now.